How does it feel that the Red Band trailer is the one that literally knocks those records down?
Know?
Is that what you felt? Did you know that?
Yeah. You know, I mean, I kind of thought if one of them was going to do better, it was going to be the Red Band trailer because of the nature of the fandom of Mortal Kombat. Like, you don't play Mortal Kombat if you're just trying to, like, you know, knock somebody out. You want to rip their heart out. You want to have a fatality. Like, that's what they wanted to see. That's what the movie gives them. But it's done tastefully. Like, when you watch the movie, you are watching a piece of cinema. Like, you're watching a film that has this gory aspect, and it's really grounded in physics, and it's really grounded in reality.
Everything looks on point. The art direction, the costuming.
It's crazy. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful film.
What was your familiarity with the property before you got involved? And when did you find out that you were in line looking at a Mortal Kombat role, especially that of Jax?
Geez, that's kind of an interesting story. Like, so I was leaving Supergirl, and I knew that I wanted to, like, do something completely different. I was in London at my buddy's house, who's a movie producer, and I got the audition for Jax at his house, and his name is Jackson, right? And I go, oh, this is it. He goes, that's a big one. I go, yeah, this is it though. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna visualize this. I'm gonna manifest this. I'm gonna work my ass off. I'm gonna do what I have to do to make sure that this one's it. And so I put like 90 hours of work into like 7 pages of dialogue. Somewhere in that process, I kind of just felt like I got this, and I felt really comfortable with it. But it was also sort of there was this surreality attached to it, in the fact that, like, I've been playing this game since I was a kid, right? And I was like, well, what would I want to see from Jax? Who is he? Who is Jax? Well, he's kind of like Superman, but can't fly. He's the strongest dude on the planet, more or less, right? I mean, like, what else would he be? And he's an assassin of assassins, and he kills multi-dimensional monsters. He's a bad dude. Because of that, I had to gain, like, I think I gained 35 pounds for the movie, which was crazy. Working out 6 days a week, twice a day sometimes. I went from being vegan to eating half a cow a day. It was interesting and fun to watch that process, like, manifest itself through your own body, right? Being that dedicated that you could achieve something that's so different in yourself. I woke up and every day I visualized this one scene. I visualized this one scene from the audition. Every single day that I woke up, I took at least 10 to 15 minutes to visualize this one scene where I'm fighting. I'm not giving anything away. I'm fighting Sub-Zero in the scene. And you guys see that in the trailer. But that was one of the audition scenes. And I'm into spirituality. And so I figured, like, something I learned that was really interesting is that the part of the brain that manages imagination also handles memory. And why is that? Because our memories are not these direct recordings of the experiences that we had in our lives. They're projections. There are our imaginations producing an image out of nothingness, right? And saying, well, you were 5, so this is how you looked. And this was your perspective. And so that's what your memories are. They're projections of your imagination that are put into context of the data that you've taken in. So in that, if you visualize on a daily basis and you do it in such a dedicated way, it starts to feel like a future memory, if that makes sense. And then I got to that place and I was like, yo, this is crazy. And then I was on set in Australia and we're shooting the scene and it looked exactly like the visualization. Not to say that I created it. I'm saying maybe I tapped into something. Maybe we all can do that. I don't want to leave that important piece of the process out of it.
You know, when you were visualizing it and you were on that path, that journey with the physicality, did you see yourself at the place that you ended up being, adding that weight, adding those pounds? Absolutely.
And the highest potentiality of that self as well. Like, so, and also, like, if you want to get into visualization, it's really, the key is to visualize the mundane. Are you hungry? How do you feel? You cold? You warm? Who are you talking to? What's it smell like? What time of night is it? Are you tired? Are you pushing through? Are you coming down from lunch? Are you laughing a bunch? How do you feel? Step into those shoes, look down and see the outfit, right? See the smoke that the smoke machine is putting in the alley. And when you do all these little things, your imagination sort of crosses that line in between imagination and memory in some ways, right? And so, yeah, I saw the optimized version of myself that I had in my head, and I worked every single day to get there. I don't want to leave that out because I want to stress how important that is for anybody who's going for anything. You know what I mean?
The mindset and the mentality, man, those are things that are usually left out of these conversations that I always feel lacking. And I'm glad you're bringing that in, because I'm sort of a similar way. I see feats. I want to climb something. I want to do a bike ride. I see me executing that and I get there. And I love that you said that. How much time did you have to get to that place? How early did you start that process as far as the physical nature?
I started that process the day I got the audition. I hesitate because of how this comes off sometimes to people, whatever the case is. But like, I think when you dedicate yourself so fully to something, and we rarely ever do, we rarely ever do, right? We rarely go, no, this is my life for right now. And if the outcome of this breaks my heart, so be it. We rarely ever do that. But the few times in my life that I've done that, it's turned out exactly how I saw it. I dropped whatever I was doing that day in June and went to the gym. I was like, okay, I got to beat this guy. And we start shooting in on this date, so I got this many months. I know that sounds crazy, and I know how crazy that sounds in some ways, because it's like, wow, this guy's going to gain 20 pounds for a movie you might not get. Yeah, that's cool. But at the end of that journey, at least I'm the kind of person who knows he can dedicate himself so fully to something, even if it's not promised. I'm not going to give you any ammunition not to give me something. That's how I approach things. And I have this saying I always kind of say to myself, where just know that you already won and let space-time catch up with that shit.
I like it, man. Did you have a gym that you normally go to? Did you begin to enlist somebody to help with that process down the road?
If I was flying, I was lifting my suitcase. There was not a time when I wasn't like, even if I was traveling or resting, I was getting some sort of workout in. But I was traveling a lot that summer, and I was in Canada doing Supergirl. Then I was in Australia. So like, and then in between that, I went to Burning Man to really find Jax, right? I'm a burner. I've been there 5 times, and I understand what it does for my psyche and for my consciousness and for my focus, clarity. And what better way than to find a guy who has done several tours in the desert than go be in the desert, stripping yourself down to your bare consciousness, right? So there was a lot of things I did for myself physically and in a conscious sense. Gym-wise, I worked out at every gym that I possibly could. Like, I was traveling a lot once again, and there was a gym in Australia that I frequented, and I have a trainer in LA named Andrew Schuth, who we say you're not ready for the truth and you can't handle the truth, right? Because this guy's he's a beast. I think my first time working out with him, I actually almost vomited. I had to put ice on my wrist and my neck. So that's what you're dealing with there.
That's a good sign, man. Someone that challenges you. I like that. I want to get more into that, but I gotta go to the Burning Man thing, because I love that you chased the character there. You were already onto the threads of the character. You were already building him out. What new things did you find about him? What was it like you said, the deserts, to be out there, to feel the elements? Did you put on anything that sort of mimicked the costuming of Jax, or how did you enhance that mindset experience?
So you have a playa name, right? So I changed my playa name that year to Jax, and everybody was calling me Jax. So one, I've already gained 20 pounds at the time, right? Mm. So I'm walking through, and normally the times where I would wear the complete gas mask, I took it off. I was like, Jax don't wear no mask. There was a lot of alone time that I spent in the playa, just like, and if for those people who haven't been to Burning Man, like what we call the playa is like the open frontier of space that one can find some personal solace in and find acceptance, compassion, forgiveness, and love, and hopefully in that order. And so I found acceptance of the fact that like my visualization was coming into this third dimension, right? It was coming into the physical, something that I was going to be interacting with in a matter of weeks at the time. And that was a little quasi out of body, whoa, right? So I had to sort of accept that and accept the power that was in that, and the courage that was in that, but also the humility that this situation is providing for me. I found that, but then I also had to find this killer instinct in me. Like, you don't, as an actor, you can't judge. There's 2 things you got to do, especially when it comes to like fantasy and sci-fi and like these multi-dimensional adventure movies. You have to believe that you're in the world, and you can't judge the character. And that goes for every movie. But sometimes it's harder to believe it when there's a bunch of green screens or, a 7-foot person like in a, whatever. In those 2 things, I really had to find somebody who had been on all these multiple tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, who maybe he was SEAL Team 6. Maybe he was part of the team that went down and got El Chapo, right? Maybe he had to be one of the baddest dudes that the military had to offer for him to now be chasing down and assassinating multi-dimensional monsters and ninjas. I mean, come on, bro. So I had to find this sort of acceptance that Jax was himself an assassin. He was himself a killer. And what's his motivation in that? And where's he from? And how did that happen? And like, what's in there? And like, the best that I got was, we're just lucky he picked Earthrealm. We're just lucky he picked the good guys. Like, he's not a good guy. He's a killer. He's got a killer instinct. And I had to accept that. And I had to have compassion for him. I had to forgive that and find love for him. And that's what I was able to do in Playa. You know, it was an incredible exercise. And I think I'm going to do that for every movie I have around that time. I'm going to use the Burning Man experience to find that character, because you can, particularly if you're playing a tough guy.
You can also encounter a lot of otherworldly creatures and beings. Yeah. So, you know, if you're out there mixing it up,
absolutely,
you know, talk about not being shocked by anything, you know, you sort of process it and take it on, man. I love that. There's a lot of elements to that makes sense for that character. So yeah, let's go back to the gym. I'm sure you remembered from the game, all of us who played it, he's the dude. He's massive. He's got the arms. He's got the shoulders and everything that comes with it. So was there an inspiration image that you used? You had what you had in your mind, but was it a comic? Was it a storyboard thing? Or is it more your own personal interpretation of what you would look like in your most baddest self?
It's kind of a combination of all those things, right? The two images I had in my mind were He-Man and Superman. He's basically Superman. He's just not from a different planet and he can't fly. I think if he and Superman were to arm wrestle, I like to think he'd give him a run for his money, right? So I was just going for like, what's believable, right? So like, I actually had a picture of Jax, one that I thought I could achieve. I was looking at it 3-4 times a week and going like, okay, I'm getting there. And then by October, I was there, man. Like it was weird. It was weird being that big.
Did you find that on the internet? Was it in like a comic? Where did you find that image? And
yeah. It was one of the first images I saw of Jax. And obviously I know what Jax looks like, but like when I started really doing body sculpting, which was when I had the audition, I was like, okay, I got a few months to look like that. When my body got tired, I didn't take no for an answer. When I didn't want to go to the gym, I didn't take no for an answer. When I was in a bad mood, I went ahead and if you just put your gym clothes on, they're not comfortable sitting around in the house, right? Especially because I wear the long tights with shorts over them. But they're not like super stylish, but it's not super comfortable to lounge in the house. You put the gym clothes on, you're going to the gym.
What kind of training for you had the most benefit you saw results from?
It's kind of a blur, but like, I mean, what my trainer, Andrew Shute, did, he does these bespoke workouts based on what you want, right? And I was like, I need to look like this. And he's like, okay, got you. So we did a bunch of heavy weights, a ton of reps. And then the next week I would cut it down and do fast twitch motion, plyometrics, right? That kind of stuff. So 1 week of just heavy lifting. And then the next week of all just like, the connector muscles, right? Everything that's going to make you bulge out. I wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy. I'm talking about stumbling out of the gym, sometimes crawling. But once you get into a rhythm of it, it's like your body almost needs it. Like I was waking up in the middle of the night going to the gym, and there was times when I had a 12-hour shoot, but I was doing boxing for 2 hours and I was at the gym for 2 hours and I was doing stunt rehearsal for an hour. And so like there was weeks at a time where I was getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep, but I was moving like Mike Tyson. And I'm not going to say that. I was emulating Mike Tyson and emulating Joe Frazier. And I was the size of Anthony Joshua. So like, it felt incredible.
Yeah, that's great. I think I saw some of that stuff. It looked awesome, man. Yeah, no, I love that you were able to implement that into, because obviously the boxing is a huge part of that character, his ability to just square up and throw. So, you know, absolutely. So what punches felt best? You know, was it fun to get in there? You know, what was your favorite part about the boxing training? Was it the pads? Was it, you know, the drills?
I was slow because I had gained so much weight, right? So I didn't realize how slow I was, right? And how much force and torque it takes to move all that torso and shoulder and arm, right? I got to a place where I had a come to Jesus, like sit down moment with myself, like, are you supposed to be here? Are you supposed to be here, bro? Like, of course you're supposed to be here. Every single night from that moment on, I watched an hour and a half, 2 hours of tape on Mike Tyson, or an hour and a half, 2 hours of tape on Joe Frazier. And I just took their styles. I kind of blended in like their styles. And then when I got the form and like the structure from those two, I blended that into how Jax moves on the video game. So Jax bounces a lot, right? And like he almost does a little shimmy, like it's tiny. If you watch closely, this tiny little divot shimmy thing before he throws a big punch. So all that's there, right? Like my favorite part was being able to watch legends and then create my own recipe. That was really fun.
That's killer, man. Yeah. I want to get more into the character and being on set a little bit. I just want to hit, you know, when it comes, you mentioned your trainer building bespoke programs and something around Jax. I'm sure you guys have been through the routine a few times. For this program, was there anything new that he brought to the table as far as a training, an exercise? You know, what really tapped you out?
Things like he would make me run full speed on the treadmill at full incline, holding 25-pound weights, doing punching motions for 1 minute. You take that down. And then now you're running full speed. You put the weights down. Now you're running full speed for another minute. Then he puts you down. He puts the incline down. Now you're still running full speed for another minute. And then you get like 60 seconds of rest. And he goes, set one. You're like, I'm going to kill you, bro. I mean, there's stuff like that where you just, if you saw it in the movie, you'd be like, that's too much. No one's doing that. Like, come on, stop that, Rambo. Who do you think you are? Who are you trying to impress here? It was like that. But you see results in 2 days. And like that's what I think makes you go, okay, all right. I do hate you, but I don't hate you. And I see what you're doing, and I'm grateful for you. At the end of the day, he's a beast.
Let's get into being on set. You're where you want to be. You're operating at the level you want to operate. Tell me about putting on the costuming. Tell me about, you know, we see that moment in the trailer where the arms, you know, go. That's rough to watch. But yeah, tell me about the elements of building that character as far as a costume, feeling that on you. What was that process?
I kind of feel like anytime you go into a fitting for a new character that's new to you, it's the first time you're embodying the character fully. You're able to look down from your own perspective and see clothes that you didn't pick. And all of a sudden you're kind of transported into what this journey is going to be, right? Jax's costume wasn't very complicated. It was just utilitarian, this sort of military-inspired, something you can move in. If the shit hits the fan, you grab the sawed-off shotgun and you elbow somebody. It's great. So like that's the kind of stuff he had to have on. I can't get into the arms, but it was a lot of work, but it was really fun. I'm one of these guys who always try to find the fun in the situation, no matter what the situation is. I don't always succeed. Even when it's like you're needed to make this movement or this shot or this look, you're needed for 3 hours more or 5 hours more sometimes or whatever the case is. Like it's worth it because of the final product. It's incredible. Like I've seen the movie. It's incredible, man. Like it's incredible. Like I would say this if I wasn't in it. It's incredible, and it looks incredible, and the arms look incredible.
If they measured you early, they might have to resize some of that because I'm guessing
we had to have a few different measurements. Yeah, a few different measurement sessions. Yeah.
When it comes to the game, it is these square ups. You mentioned the one with Sub-Zero that you were mentioning and thinking of. When you're talking about physicality, Jack shows up and he's a beast, and you put him beside some of the other guys and he's, you know, how do you feel walking around set during some of these square ups?
Yeah, you know, I feel you. To be completely honest, the only fight that I can talk about of mine is the one you've seen on the trailer, which is with Sub-Zero, who's played by an incredible actor named Joe Taslim. Tell you a story about Joe Taslim. There's two guys in Hollywood who are so fast that the camera departments ask them to slow their movements down because the camera can't catch them. One guy's name is Bruce Lee. The other guy's name is Joe Taslim. I'm not fucking with Joe Taslim. You understand what I'm saying? Joe Taslim is such a beast. I have never seen somebody move that fast. It's like watching Michael Jackson dance up close. That's what watching Joe do fight choreography is like. It's so smooth. It's so fast. Like, I'm so lucky to have had a dance partner like that to make me look good and to walk me through it, like, and raise my game every step of the way. So did I walk on set thinking I could take Joe Taslim? No. Did I leave set thinking I could take Joe Taslim? No. Would I put money on anybody taking Joe Taslim? No. But nope. Maybe Stylebender. That's about it.
Yeah, Stylebender.
Is he sure? Is he sure? I think
Izzy's the shit, man. I've gotten to interview that guy a bunch of times.
Level. Yeah, he's a friend of mine. I love him.
Is he really?
When you talk about GOAT, you got to talk about Izzy, man. You got to talk about Izzy.
And he's so young, man. Like, who knows?
Know. What is he, 31? 31?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's got a lot of runway, man. He's going to – that game
got 10 years of legend to build, man.
No one wants to get in there with him, man. No one wants to get in there. I miss UFC fights, man. That's one of the things I miss the most. I used to go all the time. I want to get into diet a little bit because you mentioned being vegan and then, you know, adding that level of protein to your diet.
Listen, I think that as a country in particular, we definitely overeat meat, and we do not appreciate the animals that provide that meat. And we're not giving back to the planet in the places where that meat is grown. There is a supply chain of fucked upness that we have from the seeding that meat into eating that meat. And I understand that, and I agree with that. That's why I became vegan in the first place. I didn't think it was an accomplishment. I thought it was a choice. And I'm all for people making whatever choices they want to, especially when it comes to diet. However, our ancestors, no matter where you're from, they were hunters and gatherers and scavengers. So ate what they could find or they could kill. And what that meant is they normally ate a lot of vegetables and fruits and nuts and things like that, things that were just growing that they didn't have to hunt. And every now and then they gorged on whatever meat they hunted. So that's what I kind of did. And I kept eating the same animal over and over and over again for like maybe I would eat lamb for a week, right? And then I wouldn't eat any meat for 3 or 4 days. And then I would eat, to be completely honest, I would probably eat 12 to 16 chickens in the next week. And I didn't eat meat for 3 or 4 days. And so I probably ate like a normal amount of meat. I just did it the way that our ancestors did, right? And physiologically speaking, it was interesting. It was like, I felt like a caveman kind of, right? Like I would have full meals of just meat. And then I'd have full meals of just kale and just, you know, sweet potatoes and right? Things that you would find together, right? And it was basically like the hardest core paleo diet you've ever heard of. And I got a caveman body in the movie, man. It worked. It really worked. It's not something that I would sustain. It's really, really expensive. And I was eating 10 to 12,000 calories a day easily. 10 to 12,000 calories a day easily.
Were you starting your eating in a certain part of the day, and were you regimented about that? And was there a certain amount of meals that you were hitting?
Oh yeah, it was vegan protein shakes all day, just like all day. Maybe somewhere between 12 and 18 eggs a day. On the times I was eating chicken, it was 4 to 6 chicken breasts per sitting. Always had vegetables. Cut the carbs around 4 p.m. or 6 p.m. at the latest. Sometimes didn't drink for months. Not a drink, not a drop of alcohol, which is one that's amazing. That feels amazing in and of itself, and like actually started a really good pattern for me in life. Man, it was just an orgy of vegetables and fruits and proteins. That's just kind of what it was. And
I love it.
And nuts, right? And nuts. And like, you know, I made sure that I bought organic, and I went to butchers, and I made sure that it was locally sourced. And I did everything that I could to try to support green initiatives and where my heart and my morals and values are with that. But yeah, I ate a farm.
Do you do any sort of supplementation?
I was taking like these, it's this thing called black root tonic, where it's like these little elixirs, small batch elixirs that are made to order. And they're incredible. Like, they're kind of all the vitamins you need. Like, they keep you super regular, keep you really healthy. Like, I feel it when I don't take them. And I still take them to this day. So I was just taking multis and this black root tonic, more protein than I've ever seen in my life, and more dedication in that gym than I've ever seen in my life. And I wanted to keep it natural. Like, I had a friend who, I wanted to make sure that in the long run, my body's not going to suffer, you know, based on the fact that I can gain 35 pounds naturally if I just really, really put my mind to it. I think we all can. It was perfect for me.
Perfect for the character. So let's wrap it up and just get into, you know, tell me about seeing that first screening, you as a character throwing down.
Once again, another quasi out-of-body experience. I saw it. The only time I've seen it was in the studio in Australia in the movie theater that they have there. And I don't think people are going to believe me when I say this, because it's like, they're like, well, you're in it. But mark my words, it is the greatest video game adaptation of all time. I have eyes, I have ears, I saw what I saw, I experienced what I experienced in the big screen. It's going to be the greatest video game adaptation of all time until somebody beats it. This is going to be the mark.
I love to hear it, man. We don't want to get into what happens at the end of the movie, where it goes. No. You know, if the excitement's around it, people are going to want more of it. And listen, you don't have to say whether or not it's even possible, but if it was possible, would you play this character again?
I am this character. So here's the thing. There's such a love and attachment that people have for the Mortal Kombat characters, because they have been at the edge of your consciousness, literally at your fingertips. You've been able to control them since the mid-90s, and for many people, this will be the first time that they're watching the characters that they've known be autonomous in some ways, right? And whatever you thought of Jax, whatever you thought of Scorpion, whatever you thought of Sub-Zero, whatever you thought of Sonya, whatever you thought of Liu Kang, whatever you thought of any of us, this is it. And I say that with all the humility, meant for people who worked until they bled, worked until they cried, worked until they were frustrated, pushed past their own fears, pushed past their own imposter syndrome. I'm like, am I good enough to be this character? Like, are the fans going to be mad? Whatever. We pushed through all that, and our director delivered. And I say that just with excitement. I say that with knowing how much each one of these actors loves these characters. We love these characters, and we grew up loving these characters. We're the same. We're fans. So it was up to us to bring that home. Not only for all of the fandom, but for the integrity of the character and for ourselves. So when you say, do I want to play the character again? I'd like people to put a camera on me again as Jax, but we're going to carry these characters forever.